The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is June 5th. 2020, episode 205, and this week, When Satanists Walk and Burning Bezos. My name's Basil.
And this is Gonz. Welcome to another episode of Canary Cry News Talk, where we're live on the fascists, Twitch, DLive, Facebook, and Periscope, Twitter. I'm going to say I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore, Basil.
Uh-oh. Watch out, everybody.
Yeah.
Watch out. You don't care that you've been demonetized for harmful content?
Yeah, so it looks like there's a purge going on of like-minded YouTube channels, and I fell into the batch of channels that were no longer eligible to monetize because of harmful content.
Gonzo, it's about time somebody put you in your place. I kid. No, that's very unfortunate. Of course, everybody out there knows if you're not part of the Patreon, then things are demonetized. The internet content creation ecosystem is disintegrating if you don't follow the marching orders from whoever gives those. And so there you go. They finally got you, buddy. Of course, it's been sort of a long. It's been like a tumble down an escalator, down an up escalator for you and that YouTube channel as far as monetization goes, huh?
It feels like I was on like a downward slope ski course or something, and I was like dodging trees and going off little cliffs, but landing on my feet. But I finally wiped out. They were finally able to take me out. Well, at least the monetization, which has already been smashed by 80-85% from the highs a few years ago.
So really, you had nothing to lose. They just took away your last $5 you were making on YouTube.
Yeah, it wasn't much, but I think we'll be okay, especially because we have awesome supporters on Patreon, on my Patreon, the FaceLikeTheSun Patreon account, but also Canary Cry News Talk, Canary Cry Radio, and just there's enough people supporting right now to keep us moving forward. So it's not the worst thing.
Yes, to not have us give up. So that's very good news.
Yeah, but it's the principle of being labeled harmful content that harms
that's just mean,
me.
Man.
It is mean.
They don't have to rub salt in the wound.
Yeah, and I actually went through the actual document of they give you a little thing like, hey, just read over this and see where you went wrong. And okay, I'm just gonna go through real quick. Inappropriate language? I don't think so. Content containing gruesome, graphic, or disgusting accounts or imagery? Not really. Depicts of violence? No. Sexually explicit content? No. Nudity? No. Sexually suggestive content? Can't speak for Basil, but just kidding.
So sexy.
Inappropriate pranks, challenges, dares, and stunts. So if you're a Jackass fan...
No stunts?
Yeah.
No stunts allowed?
I know, it's weird, right? Body modification and medical procedure, content that threatens...
You mean my Basil's burnout page is going to get taken down where I do 6 stunts?
Yeah, no good. Content that threatens or advocates for physical or mental harm on oneself or others. Far from it. Harm to self, harm to others, or harmed by others, which is a weird one. And that's the only one that's the first one where I thought, okay, maybe, but it's content relating to suicide, eating disorder, bullying, harassment, no. Promotes the use of weapons, no. Content relating to cannibalism, no. Dangerous acts not to be imitated, which maybe your VR thing was.
That might be why Basil's Burnout Stunt Spectacular got taken out.
Taken out before it even got started. Promoting or advocating for harmful health or medical claims or practices. Content that incites hatred, promotes discrimination, disparages, or humiliates. And, okay, so this is the only one I thought maybe. Content or a couple more actually. One, content that encourages others to believe that a person or group is inhuman, inferior, or worthy of being hated.
That's where it's the lizard people,
the
man.
Lizard people are offended.
You were talking smack about the lizard people,
or the Freemasons or whoever. Promoting terrorism and violent extremism, no. Content that is incendiary and demeaning, no. Content that harasses, intimidates, or bullies an individual or group of individuals. And I think that's where they actually got me. I think that's part of it, because it's content.
Were you bullying people?
No, but I think that's content that suggests a tragic event did not happen, or that victims or their families are actors or complicit in a cover-up of the event. So I think I talked about
specific.
I know,
so specific.
But I think when I talked about
what YouTube looks like. But remember, people, you can go to settings, the little toggle wheel, little settings wheel, and put that quality a little bit lower. Should help with your buffering issues there.
Looks like we're having looks like we're having a little. We just went offline for a second. Our bit rate just dropped to 46 kilobytes for a moment.
Ooh, they're getting you, man.
Which
they tracked you down.
They tracked me down. They really don't like me talking about any of this stuff. But a lot of issues right now. This is not good. Not good for the live streams.
We'll just plug ahead.
Yep.
I did get just now I opened up an article. This is from CBS News. 2 National Guardsmen injured by lightning strike during George Floyd protests in D.C. So we got National Guard getting struck by lightning.
I did see I didn't include it for the episode, but there was some footage of the Washington Monument, the giant obelisk, getting struck by lightning. Is pretty compelling, actually. Let me try to throw it in there because it's kind of a gnarly thing here. Let me throw it in right there. For those of you watching, it's kind of a far shot of Washington. You can see the Washington Monument and like a hard strike right on the obelisk there. So
few of them. Holy smokes.
I mean, that's kind of like Jesus saying, like, he saw Satan fall like lightning. Plus, if you know about the obelisk and the truth surrounding that, it's like, okay.
Yes, the symbology of the obelisk there,
being Osiris.
I want to give
piece.
Want to give a little shout out to some Twitch people. We got Flippy Official in the chat there. 6-String Commandos back. We got the Sin Kitty, CYN for just so everybody knows. A supporter of the show over on Patreon. Thank you so much. Garibaldi Chatbot's back. This is great. We got the whole gang back together.
Nice. Welcome.
So anything else before we start getting into the show here, Gons?
No. You got anything?
Okay. No.
Anything happened to you? Were you banned from anything or
No, it's been a pretty uneventful since the last show, which is a relief. Relief
seriously,
for me.
A little relief.
I know.
Good.
I mean, it's the 2020 continues to be the year of the crumbling of all society, but at least for me,
or at least American society.
A couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we do have some other things happening in the news, Gons, and let me tell you, it's going to be biblical.
Oh,
it will kill.
That's not it.
Here it is. Biblical. There it is. Okay, this is from thecut.com. The headline reads, "A catastrophic oil spill in Russia has turned a river red." Dun, dun, dun. As we've noted before, it's looking more and more like the end times. Oh, good. Thecut.com. Self-style, self-culture, and power.
It's on everybody's mind, man.
I know. Even these secular outlets know it's the end of days. Now, in addition to clouds of locusts and strange weather events, there was a massive oil spill in northern Russia over the weekend, causing a 7.5-mile stretch of water to turn dark red. The spill resulted in 20,000 tons of diesel oil leaking into a river in the Arctic Circle. The company responsible, Norilsk Nickel, is suggesting the spill may have been caused by thawing permafrost that damaged an oil storage tank. Russian President Vladimir Putin apparently only found out about it after people started posting photos of the Red River on social media 2 days after the spill began. Wow, 2 days. And he got the news from social media. Putin needs to listen to Canary Cry, I think.
Yeah.
Interesting, fun little switcheroo, or maybe not a switcheroo, but the oil company, was saying that the spill may have been caused by thawing permafrost from global warming. So the company that creates the oil to, if you're following the mainstream storyline there, the burning of the oil that this company manufactures, creating global warming, and then it's global warming that spills the oil. So I don't know, man. It's a closed system. Putin has now declared a state of emergency in the nearby city of Norilsk to free up more resources for cleanup, which may cost $1.5 billion and could take between 5 and 10 years to complete. Holy smokes. Greenpeace has compared the spill to the 1989 Exxon Valdez disaster in Alaska, and a criminal probe has been launched into the energy company responsible. The factories in the area have made Norilsk one of the most polluted places on Earth. Oh, no. Alexei Knishnikov of the World Wildlife Fund says the spill is believed to be the second largest in modern Russian history. He added diesel fuel is lighter than oil, so it is likely to evaporate rather than sink, but it also, quote, more toxic to clean up. The quote continues, the incident led to catastrophic consequences, and we will be seeing the repercussions of this for years to come. Sergei Verkovets, coordinator of the Arctic Project for WWF Russia, said in a statement, quote, we are talking about dead fish, polluted plumage of birds, and poisoned animals. That's what we're talking about, Gons. The destruction of wildlife.
So there
you go. We got rivers turning to blood up there in the Arctic Circle.
Early listeners of Canary Cry News Talk will remember this little jingle here.
That was no Slim Jim.
I was reminded because of the WWF. I know it's not
Old
it's
school.
WWE now. They had to change it, but for anybody that's old enough to remember, WWF was the old thing. One of the things, the reason why we called it biblical is because, of course, the river has turned red, and we know about the passage from Revelation 16:4. I'll read from the King James Bible. And the third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains of waters, and they became blood. So not quite
spooky.
Blood, but close. More. It's just a lot of biblical-ish type things going on out there. And there's one more story, just another biblical one.
It's got to be biblical.
This one, a little more obscure, I suppose. ShankenNewsDaily.com. Wine and spirits retail growth stays strong as hard seltzer surges. I'll just read one paragraph at the beginning here. The wine and spirits categories both maintain their rapid pace in off-premise outlets in the week through May 23rd. This, I guess, a couple weeks old from the data, but the article is published on the 4th of June. With wine dollar sales increasing 27% and spirits jumping 33%.
Ooh, ding, ding, ding.
Beer, cider, and FMBs advanced by 21% and hard seltzer driving growth and blah, blah, blah. Point is, wine sales going up, during the whole Corona thing. Everyone's sitting at home. They're ordering their wine. And again, go back to Revelation. We're going to go to Revelation 6:6 this time. Again, I'll read it from the King James Version. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil. We just talked about the oil and the wine. So there you go. Don't hurt the oil and the wine. And here we have a story about oil spill and the wine continuing to be or increasing in sales. So
wow,
not saying that we know 33. The day or the
we
hour.
Got to figure out what the message is, man.
Maybe to not mess with the wine.
Don't hurt Don't hurt the wine. Don't hurt the oil. Wine. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Gons, I got a little update for you, and it's about one of our favorite horsemen.
The four horsemen of the Technocalypse.
Anytime you see the four horsemen, it's something special.
That's right. We're talking about the four horsemen of the Technocalypse, folks. And just to keep everybody updated, if this is your first show, the four horsemen of the Technocalypse is Mark Zuckerberg, who follows us on Twitch, Elon Musk, who also follows us on Twitch,
and his clone.
Jeff Bezos, RFID chips for sale, follows us on Twitch, and Bill Gates. Bill and Melinda both follow us on Twitch. So there you go. They all love the show, and they are the four horsemen of the Technocalypse, dragging us into the ultimate end of all humanity. But here's the thing. Elon, as we know, we love scanning this guy's Twitter. And yeah, on the 4th, that was last show day, he tweeted, "Time to break up Amazon. Monopolies are wrong." So there you go. We got trouble in paradise over with the four horsemen.
Yeah. Well, I think there was a book that was banned. This was a book from Alex Berenson. And it was, I don't remember the topic. I think there was an article about it. Unreported Truth About COVID-19 and Lockdowns, Part 1, Introduction and Death Counts and Estimates. And yeah, obviously Amazon's going to ban that book, not allow him to publish it. And so he was upset about it, and Elon was upset about it. And, I don't know if this was planned. I mean, I suppose everything is planned to a degree. But this, the story that kind of goes along with this one from my neck of the woods. So Elon Musk says Amazon needs to break up. Well, somebody maybe took the message a little too seriously.
Burn it all.
This is a story from the Charlotte Observer. Video shows massive fire engulf an Amazon distribution center in California. An Amazon distribution warehouse is seen on video burning from a massive fire, California firefighter said. The San Bernardino County Fire Protection District said on Twitter that a massive fire broke out at about 5:30 a.m. Friday. So it was the day after the Elon tweet. Wonder if he's going to get in trouble for that. Was
this a Black Lives Matter related fire?
I don't, let me just keep reading here. Let's find out. The Friday at the third-party Amazon distribution center in Redlands, California, located more than 60 miles east of L.A. Quote, "It's a major structure fire at a warehouse. There are some Amazon trucks on the outside of it. It's been reported that it's a supplier of Amazon." Redlands City Manager Charles M. Dugan Jr. told Fox 11. He also stated that, quote, "definitely not protest related."
Definitely not.
Definitely not. But certainly related to Elon's tweet. Amazon told CBS LA that no workers reported being injured. The company also expects minimal impact to customer orders, according to the news outlet. That's good. We also, quote, "We are glad everyone is safe and thankful for the efforts of the local firefighters and first responders," Amazon told CBS LA. "This site was operated by a third party, and we will support them throughout this process." Yada, yada, yada. And the pictures, of course, of more burning building pictures, as if there's not enough burning right now.
Yeah, as if we hadn't seen enough burning buildings recently.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a gnarly I mean, it's big. It's a huge...
Where's everybody going to get their widgets and knickknacks? Come on.
I don't know how it's going to not affect deliveries. I mean, the whole place is burning down.
Well, yeah, of course will affect deliveries. Now, of course, they'll try to transfer those orders over to other distribution centers. But, yeah, we'll see. Your Amazon Prime 2-day delivery might have a little bit of a delay there, folks. So just sit tight.
Here's my theory. This is some Elon Musk versus Jeff Bezos type of thing hitting the streets. This is the two of the four horsemen of the Technocalypse going head to head, while Bill Gates is out there doing his thing and Zuck doing his thing with the drones. But yeah, that's my theory. Elon is responsible for this one. Better watch what you tweet, man. Elon.
Yeah, careful, man. I gotta say, yeah, there you go. And hopefully the Amazon fire doesn't. Maybe that's why the Twitch stream is being interrupted. But I guess it's all the streams getting interrupted.
Yeah.
So that doesn't work. But Gons, I got something for you. This is from SACurrent.com, the San Antonio Current. And the article is titled, Bexar County GOP Chair Claims George Floyd's killing was a staged event to hurt Trump.
Your wish is my command, masters.
All right. So this is pretty interesting when you see, actual politicians coming out and pulling, not the party line, I guess. This is a dangerous thing for politicians to be talking about. But here we go. The article reads, San Antonio political observers are accustomed to Bexar County Republican Chairwoman Cynthia Brem spinning conspiracy webs. After all, just last month, she claimed the coronavirus was a Democratic hoax and has long maintained that county officials engage in widespread voter fraud. This time, though, Brem appears to have outdone herself. In a now deleted Facebook post, the local GOP leader theorized that the death of George Floyd while in Minneapolis police custody might be, quote, a staged event meant to undermine President Donald Trump's chances with black voters. Express News political columnist Gilbert Garcia shared a screenshot of Brem's post on Twitter yesterday. Quote, these officers were involved in something. I'm not sure exactly what, but something is just not adding up, Brem wrote. Quote, also, this supposed officer is now missing from his home where nowhere to be found, has the smell of MK Ultra activation.
Ooh, she went there.
She went all the way to MK Ultra.
Yeah.
Of course, the famous conspiracy theory yet documented.
Heavily documented
and declassified, the MK Ultra project. And for those who don't know, MK Ultra being the CIA operation, correct?
Yes.
To brainwash children and turn them into, super soldiers to take out or to complete missions later on in life when they are triggered. Quote, think Jason Bourne, something like that.
Jason Bourne. There's actually the movie called MK Ultra.
Yes, I've not seen it. Have you?
I have. Yeah, I've seen it.
Ooh,
it's like a teen romance version of the whole idea. Basically, just some kid. He gets, he had some past he didn't remember.
Was that the one with Jesse Eisenberg?
I don't know actors' names. Come on, I'm not into it as much as you are.
I think I don't know. There was one with Jesse Eisenberg and I don't know that other girl's name, but yeah, pretty big stars in one of them. Yeah. I don't know if that was the actual one, but all right. Article continues, quote, I think that there is at the very least the possibility that this was a filmed public execution of a black man by a white cop with the purpose of creating racial tensions and driving a wedge in the growing group of anti-deep state sentiment from common people that have already been psychologically traumatized by COVID-19 fears. The quote continues. Long tweet, this woman.
Well, it's a Facebook post, so yeah.
Historically, in election years and politically contested areas or groups, racial or gun violence incidents are becoming commonplace. Considering the rising approval level of the President Trump in the black community, an event like this was entirely predictable, she says. Brem's MK Ultra activation statement is a clear reference to Project MK Ultra, a series of mind control experiments on human subjects undertaken by the CIA from the 50s through the early 70s. Republican officials were largely silent. What's that?
I'm just laughing because they're towing it ended in the 70s,
Of course. The CIA told us that they don't brainwash people anymore.
Either Clinton or Bush, I don't remember, one of the presidents had to come out and apologize for it.
I don't remember that. I would love to see that clip, though.
It was like,
wow.
Yeah, well, we can look for it maybe later, but yeah, keep going. Keep going.
Keep an eye out for it. Oop, I lost it. Here we go. Republican officials were largely silent after Brem's May 22nd rally, where she claimed the Democrats had ginned up the coronavirus pandemic to, quote, undo all the good President Trump has done for our country. However, this time it appears at least one Republican elected official felt the need to draw the line. In a tweet, freshman U.S. Republican Chip Roy who's running to keep a seat representing the Texas Hill Country and part of San Antonio, said Brehm should resign. Quote, if this is an accurate email, Roy himself, no stranger to wild claims, shared the screen capture of Brehm's post.
Chip, don't
naturally,
do it. Sorry.
Don't do it, Chip. Don't get involved, buddy. Naturally, Democrats seized on Brehm's claim. Naturally. Citing it as evidence that the Trump-era GOP has divorced itself from reality. In an emailed statement, the Texas Democratic Party called on Republican State Senator Pete Flores, Governor Abbott, and the Republican Party of Texas to denounce her words. Quote, the dangerous and hateful conspiracies we're seeing Cynthia Brehm put out are a result of the Republican Party abandoning truth, said Texas Democratic Party spokesperson Abi Rahman. Texas Republican leaders can have lied to the public whenever it is can and have. Yes, lied to the public whenever it is politically expedient. Reality is just a concept to them now. So there you go. You got official Republican lawmakers coming out talking about MK Ultra. You know, it's interesting. It says right here in this quote that what did it say? The dangerous and hateful conspiracies. I don't know if hateful is necessarily the right word. I mean, that's what's triggered when people hear, talk about conspiracy theories, that they're hateful and that you're a racist if you believe in conspiracy theories. So I don't know. I think I disagree with hateful, but certainly someone in their position could consider them dangerous and maybe wacky. I'll say that.
Yeah. Well, we reported on the politician in Italy stand up and talk about Bill Gates and how he wants to try to vaccinate everybody and he should be arrested. So it's interesting how all of this, I guess what used to be more fringy concepts are entering the political realm slowly but surely.
And Texas and Italy more in common than maybe once thought.
Yeah, and I don't know that that's necessarily one of my monitors went out. It's not it's not bad per se, but I don't know that it's necessarily good either, because it could be, I don't know. It just, because of the nature of politics in general, it's just going to as this article, and obviously this is a left-leaning outlet here, calling it, or at least quoting people talking about how they've lost touch with reality and that kind of stuff. That's not helpful either, so it almost makes it more difficult for a certain segment of the population to actually look into this stuff rather than because they can just dismiss it. Oh, it's the crazy Republican lady, talking about all this nonsense. Whereas someone a little more rational might look at that and say, oh, a real politician is talking about it. Maybe there's something more to it. And you can go watch films like Minds of Men, which was also banned off of Amazon. That's by Aaron and Melissa Dykes. If you haven't watched it, it's a tough watch just because it's 3 hours of black and white and just the most depressing thing you'll ever hear or see.
But I do want to bring up something along the same conversation. Somebody on YouTube who does follow us on Twitch, and I don't know why you're watching on YouTube. You need to go over to Twitch, watch on Twitch. But they commented, are they conspiracy if it's true? And the point well made, but I will say this shows the improper use of the word conspiracy, because in the mainstream, conspiracy a conspiracy just means it was a plan. It was a plan that somebody had and they executed the plan. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's crazy. Just thinking that somebody had a plan does not mean, false. But now people use the word conspiracy almost interchangeably with the word false.
Well, yeah, and they forget,
or made up or something.
And they forget the part about the theory part. Conspiracy theory is one thing,
that's exactly
and obviously
that theory
that phrase,
is the word you want to point out.
Yeah, and that phrase, people have brought up how that was a phrase that was sort of weaponized post assassination of JFK. The phrase existed before, but it became more of a way to basically shut up the people that were questioning the JFK assassination. You look at that document. I kind of dug into it a few weeks ago, and you look into it, and I think there was a Snopes trying to debunk it, but it was kind of funny. They had to do a little wiggle around to make it seem like that's not what the CIA was trying to do. But yeah, it's the theory part. If you're just looking at the words by themselves, conspiracies happen all the time. Conspiracy theory is where you might get in trouble because you don't know for sure. It's just a theory. But to that poster in YouTube, the point is taken in that it's not really with something like MK Ultra, which is proven and documents have been released. It's a true conspiracy. The theory part comes in as to whether or not they are still applying the same tactics today. And obviously, you look at Gladio. There's all kinds of stuff. COINTELPRO. There's tons of stuff that you can
a lot
get
of talk about COINTELPRO in the mainstream recently as well. I don't know if we have an article set up for that on this show, but I was just watching some clips from a mainstream outlet, and they're talking about very interesting. All of this stuff is going mainstream, man. We're not so fringy anymore.
I know. Yeah. I'm sure some of those old time conspiracy folks would be proud. The folks that have passed on already, but we're definitely there to tell us about it in like the 90s and stuff. Even before then, but a lot of them came out in the 90s. The good researchers. Is there like a troll? Not a troll, but a spam.
Yeah, there's
guy?
A spammer in the chat.
Okay,
I got him.
You got him.
Blocked.
You got him.
You done got banned.
Okay, fantastic.
I ban you. Okay,
Steve Bannon.
Let's do the next story.
Let's do it. This is concerning money.
$100 billion.
I don't have any money.
This is from complex.com. Here are some companies putting up money for social justice amid worldwide protests. And let me just go through this because it's I did the math, and I'll give you the sum total that's being given to these social justice groups here. As protests continue nationwide, and the nationwide is crossed out for some reason. I wonder if that's because it's no longer... Oh, worldwide. Oh, it's even more intense. In support of social justice, particularly in the wake of the murder of George Floyd and amid ongoing acts of aggression from police, not looters or anything, just police are the aggressive ones. Companies small and large have been entering the mainstream discussion with messages of support for various organizations, including Black Lives Matter and others pushing for societal reform. And while many of those messages have received criticism for feeling more performative than genuine, a number of companies have also backed up their statements with announcements of financial assistance ranging from hundreds of thousands of dollars to, in some cases, millions. Of course, given the massive wealth accumulated by a number of these companies, criticism is still circulating regarding how much more could be given in an effort for a sustained and united push for reform.
I saw I think it was a Kia commercial, and the whole Kia commercial was, here at Kia, we've given $1 million to Black Lives Matter because we care. Like $1 million? That's it?
That's it.
Also,
You'll
why are
see.
you telling me this on a commercial?
Oh, yeah.
It's like the most intense virtue signaling. It's commercialized virtue signaling. They don't even say like... They just go, you know who we are. We gave $1 million because we care. And that's it. Kia. Drive it for a little bit.
Well, the other criticisms I was seeing was that these companies, some of them laid off a lot of people after the stimulus checks went to these big corporations. But then all of a sudden they have these millions of dollars to give to social justice groups. So that's kind of the criticism I was seeing. But at any rate, we've compiled a list below of noteworthy companies and brands, including those in the film, tech, and music spaces that have publicly announced donations to social justice groups. And they give a little link to how to do it. I'm not going to go through all the details, but I'll give you the numbers. Disney said they're pledging $5 million towards nonprofit organizations advancing social justice, and it includes $2 million to the NAACP. A24. I don't even know what that is. Do you know what that is, Basil?
A24? No, never heard of it.
Neither have I. It's an independent entertainment company behind Uncut Gems. We'll be giving $500,000 to organizations including Black Emotional and Mental Health Collective, Black Lives Matter, Communities United for Police Reform, blah, blah, blah. All these groups. Bad Robot, in conjunction with the Katie McGrath and J.J. Abrams Family Foundation, will disperse $10 million across 5 years to multiple organizations.
That's a good chunk. That's a real donation.
$2 million
That's
a year.
how you do it, Kia.
Bad Robot. You got TikTok dropping $3 million. So there you go. Twitter. Jack Dorsey stepping up with $3 million for the Colin Kaepernick Know Your Rights camp. Ugh. Come on, Jack. Apple. This was interesting. Though a dollar amount was not or has not been announced, Apple boss Tim Cook said in a recent open letter that the company would be providing financial assistance to organizations, including the blah, 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 all these groups. Facebook, the Zuck Muckerberg, despite still allowing Facebook to remain recklessly Facebooky, said in a recent post that the company would be putting $10 million towards organizations, quote, working on racial justice in the U.S. $10 million. And good old
that's so funny because Facebook was one of the biggest contributors to the Donald Trump campaign.
Yeah.
And
now he's trying to play cool now.
Yeah. Yeah, you hear the left side of the aisle complaining so much about Facebook giving money to Donald Trump, and now they're turning around and going for the other side. It seems kind of familiar, doesn't it? Paying for both sides of a war.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's some sort of, what's the word? Conspiracy theory.
Amazon pledges $10 million and will be distributed to multiple social justice organizations. Black Lives Matter. Yeah, go ahead.
TikTok is a Chinese company as well.
Yes, all their servers are in China. Good luck with that. All those kids out there posting all their data for Chinese servers.
Yeah.
And this is what's hilarious. YouTube stated the company stands in solidarity with racism and violence. A tweeted statement late last month revealed the company was pledging $1 million in support of efforts addressing social injustice. It says at the end of last month. Okay, never mind. I thought it was maybe they were trying to piggyback on some earlier gifts to these organizations, but I forgot that we just turned the calendar here a few days ago. $1 million from YouTube. Come on, YouTube. You pay more than you pay more than that to people that put on makeup on video. Okay. Google, in addition to YouTube's donation of $1 million, Google at large is giving $1 million to the Equal Justice Initiative, as well as another $10 million to other organizations. Got to keep up with the Amazons and the Facebooks. All $10 million. It's almost as if they got together and they're like, we will give no more than $10 million. My monitor is really freaking out over here. This was the big one. Warner Music Group and primary owner Len Blavatnik's family foundation are launching a $100 million fund.
It is.
Aiming to provide assistance for organizations, quote, on the front lines of the fight against racism and injustice, and that help those in need across the music industry.
You know what? I'm down with that, man. If you're going to be virtue signaling and making donations and making a big deal about it, at least do $100 million.
Yeah. Especially
anything much less than that. And it's just, it's just insulting.
Especially since they were part of the, other music groups as well, but they were part of really pushing out a lot of the gangsta rap type of stuff in the early 90s.
Yeah, they've got some.
This is a part of the conspiracy.
Well, it is. It is part of the conspiracy, and that's one thing. I'll say this, since I'm always looking for ways to relate to the other side, or to either of the sides. I'm just sitting here in the middle, trying to help everybody see what's really going on. But yeah, there's a big part of the problem that is identified by a lot of the Black Lives Matter people that went on in the 90s was the big switch to gangster rap as sort of the main, popular music genre, and how that was bad overall for the black community, glorifying criminal behavior and drugs and guns and things like that.
NWA. Yeah.
Yeah. And letting white people in on the fun on gangster rap, and how that was a part of the racist system keeping people down. So they've got a lot of penance to pay, the music industry, I'd say.
Yeah. Universal Music Group dropped $25 million for all kinds of groups, including Black Lives Matter, Colin Kaepernick. 10K Projects, $500,000. Don't know who they are. Fenty.
Pocket change.
Yeah, pocket change. Fenty, which is Rihanna's fashion house, announced earlier that they'd be giving money to some groups. Didn't announce how much. Lego announced that they would drop $4 million.
Okay.
Pokemon Company International, $100,000.
Oh, come on, Pokemon. Pop it up.
EA, which is, if you're familiar with some of the...
video game producer.
Well, yes, video game. But if you're familiar with Sumerian pantheon of gods, you will find Ea is a very important god of the Sumerians. $1 million. Airbnb, $500,000. Feels kind of low for Airbnb. Lyft, $500,000. Even though I think they typoed it and it says 50,000 with the wrong comma. Uber, $1 million. DoorDash, 500,000. Republic Records, 25 million. Sony Music Group, 100 million. And I did the math, added all up, 186,600,000, and that doesn't include the numbers that weren't given, including Apple that did not give their numbers. But
it's a whole industry, man.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to give to social justice groups.
Well, and here's the thing, too. The thing to keep in mind with now, you know what? I was going to go on a whole tangent about tax deductions, but I actually don't know for sure if these organizations are, charitable organizations, 501 organizations.
Actually, I had a tab that I was going to go into, but I decided not to. Oh, this is not the tab, or I was looking for the Black Lives Matter website that they had linked here. But there was the list of demands on there were pretty complicated or pretty ridiculous.
Actually, I do want to mention a chatter over on YouTube, Work Till You Die, pointed out that the corporate money going into this movement is actually a little bit concerning and should be concerning across the board, because it's when corporate money starts getting poured into especially something like a social justice movement where it's so tied in with politics that, now you have a movement funded by corporations. And, I just have a really hard time believing that a company would give $100 million and not have any strings attached to it.
Yeah. Well, I think I actually was talking to my wife about this, and she was kind of like, how are they even able to do this? It doesn't seem like legal almost.
Yeah. But it would have to be a nonprofit, or I mean, you can give money to whoever you want, but and that's what I'm talking about with the disturbing part of it is corporate money in politics is a huge problem in America and around the world. I mean, it's basically akin to true corruption. It's just legal corruption is what it is. Yeah. And, where are these companies? Now, look, I'm not saying they shouldn't give money where they need to give it. Certainly there's strings attached to money being given to political organizations, but Black Lives Matter is a political movement. It's not a political movement.
Right.
It may not be categorized by the IRS as a political organization, but this is a political movement. And so, it's worrisome. It's worrisome when big corporations, get involved with politics. I mean, it's basically what's going to bring down America and has been slowly degrading, the purity of the American Democratic Republic for whatever 100 years or more. But it's mixed with the virtue signaling of this type of giving. It's nothing but it spells nothing but trouble for me. I mean, I want people to have the money they need, but this smells fishy. And why, if we're along the lines of virtue signaling, where's all the donations to the organizations that are feeding people during, the
actual people,
not even during a coronavirus issue, not even during the economic crisis. Why are they not giving to charitable organizations all the time and making a big deal about it? I mean, I know some charities that could do a lot with even some of the smaller amounts of money being given by these corporations. But here's the issue. They won't get the press for it. They won't get the virtue signaling, and they won't get to pull the strings on whatever political outcomes that comes out of this whole movement. So, nice try, corporations.
Well, they are the cultural trendsetters. A lot of these giant corporations and film, studios and stuff like that. So they continue to set the culture, the tone of the culture, by doing something like this and making it a big deal. And virtue signaling, as you keep mentioning. And I think the public-private partnership aspect of this play comes into play as well. And again, I'll mention Joan Vion. She was a believer who passed away a couple years ago that did research on public-private partnerships, and that's how lots of foreign corporations and stuff were able to come into the United States and basically start to partner with different groups or organizations. I mean, you think about public-private, it's a contradicting term, but a public-private partnership, it doesn't make any sense if you really think about it, but that's how they were able to do a lot of that stuff with the New World Order system. So, not really surprising, but where's our check from some of the smaller ones? I'll take a half.
I'm telling you, man, support the
we'll feed a lot more people with truth.
Support the little guys. We're better, man. We don't need corporate money. We've eschewed the corporate money. We're totally funded by the producers of the show, and that's you people listening now. All right, we got that. Gons, you wanna learn about the beast system?
more BLM, sure.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
This was an interesting thing coming out on MSN.com, MSN Insider. The article's titled UN Experts Slam, quote, modern day racial terror lynchings in the United States, demand immediate reform. Whoa, bro. Okay.
UN expert. So is he part of the UN or is he just an expert on the UN? There's probably a lot of
I don't know.
UN experts that are not really into the UN. Anyway.
All right, let's learn. More than 24 United Nations human rights experts slammed the United States for its modern-day racial terror lynchings following the killing of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and numerous other Black Americans. The killings all met the standard of lynching, according to a statement from the UN. Interesting. Will you, while I continue reading this, look up the definition of lynching? The killings all met the standard of lynching, according to a statement from the UN Human Rights Office on Friday. They all involved impunity, particular disregard or depravity toward human life, and the use of public spaces to assert racial control. All right, just real quick, and look, I'm not trying to nitpick here, but Breonna Taylor, who was a victim of police violence back in March, I want to say, where police served a no-knock warrant and busted into her house and unloaded a bunch of bullets into the house and ended up killing her while she was in her bed. And I believe, and this is why I want you to look up lynching. I believe lynching, doesn't that have to be public? I mean, this says, and use the public spaces to assert racial control.
Yeah.
How is her bedroom a public space?
I don't know. Lynch, according to this definition here that I'm looking at, of a mob, kill someone, especially by hanging, for an alleged offense with or without a legal trial. So I suppose the reason why the police came to the house, it was like the wrong house or something, right? Or was that a different
it's
story?
a long story. I did read up on it because I was very curious. Apparently, long story short, it was connected to an investigation with a drug dealing house that was located more than 10 miles away from her house. But the police suspected that her house was receiving packages on behalf of the drug dealers, which later the so the cops say that during their investigation, the postal chief or whatever told them that, they were receiving mysterious packages on behalf of this other address. The postal worker, the postal chief or whatever they're called, later came out and said, no, I didn't say that. And I couldn't say that. I'm not allowed to say that. But anyways, they used that as an excuse to enter the house without announcing themselves and shot up the place. And that's the story of Breonna Taylor. And she was, I believe, shot through the wall 8 times or something while she was laying in bed. But not a public space. Her bedroom is not a public space. Not that I'm saying it's cool at all. Horrific.
Yeah, it's horrific.
Not cool.
But I don't. Was it even racially motivated? I don't even think that it's.
Well, Gons, it's 2020. Everything is racially motivated.
Sorry.
All right, let's continue. The group. I lost my spot. There we go. The killings all met the standard of lynching. No, they didn't. The group includes UN Human Rights Council special rapporteurs and working group members. They previously expressed their concern in a letter to the United States government. The group, which is independent from the UN, advises the intentional body and conducts fact-finding mission. Okay. Black Americans, quote, continue to experience racial terror in state-sponsored and privately organized violence. The experts say nearly a century after the Tulsa massacre, which is another horrible thing. Have you looked into the Tulsa massacre, Gons?
I've heard about it. Haven't read too much on it, though.
So in Tulsa, there was the richest African-American community in the country. And literally the KKK just mounted up and went into the community and just killed everybody. Like dropped bombs from planes and stuff. It was crazy. Yeah. Or, incendiary devices, not like military missiles, but, okay. Continuing. The Tulsa Massacre, a racial terror campaign in 1921 led by white mobs who killed 300 Black Americans and burned 1,200 homes. The police killing of George Floyd has prompted global protests just months after Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor were killed. Goes into Arbery's story. The experts condemned American police violence against peaceful protesters as Americans take the streets calling for an end to police violence. Police have beaten them and fired tear gas and less lethal. Ooh, I like that. Less lethal rounds, which is
bullets.
A more yes, they're talking about rubber bullets, which can and do kill people.
Yeah.
So they're usually called non-lethal rounds, but in this article they call them less lethal rounds into crowds, which raises rule of law concerns. The statement said, quote, "We are deeply concerned that the nation is on the brink of a militarized response that reenacts the injustices that have driven people to the streets to protest," the experts said in a separate statement on Friday. And that's what I'm worried about too. The militarized response. Trump came out and said he is, in so many words, he says he's not afraid to institute martial law. And that's a big issue. We've talked about it quite a bit, but long story short, and I don't know if I said this on the last show, but during the Bush administration and the Obama administration, of course, a lot of worry about martial law. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, people been talking about Trump using martial law for a while before he threatened it himself. But, along with those other presidential or those other presidents, people have been so concerned, both with Bush and Obama, that they would not give up the presidential office during an election. And one of the only ways that you can halt an election is through martial law. Because once martial law is instituted, basically the president as commander-in-chief, the head of the military, that's the closest thing that you can get to an American king or dictator.
Right.
I like to say king because dictator is, that's what everybody else tries to call Trump now. But, so to depoliticize that, it could turn Trump into a king during an election year. And I got to hold strong. I know that there's people who listen to the show who are Trump fans, and that's totally cool. I totally get it. But for me and for, I think, most of his base, enacting martial law would be a complete deal breaker.
Sure.
What do you think?
Maybe not for like the Q crowd, because they're supposed to arrest the pedos.
But that's the problem, man. That is the exact problem. You got all these people claiming that they're outside of the left-right paradigm, and they're so fringy, and they're all learned on their conspiracy theories, and then they're totally down for martial law. That is complete craziness, complete twisted new speak, double speak craziness. If you are okay with the president of the United States instituting martial law, you got to get your head right, man. That is literally the worst possible outcome.
Yeah. That's been early on. That was kind of my sort of. I guess. I mean, I was sort of skeptical of Q in regards anyway because of some of the things that a lot of the new age stuff that they push. But
okay,
it was really
good. I'm getting a lot
sentiment.
of support in chat, so.
Well, that's good. Hopefully,
I'm glad our listeners are on the level.
I feel like the more recent Q drops aren't as compelling as they used to be, and I feel like the craze died down a little bit because for whatever reason. Because if you really logically think about it, if there really were like this secret military, outlet to try to inform the unaware public about what's going on, then they're not going to share it through Q at this point. It's way too big of a movement. That's just giving away all your military plans to the public, to the enemy. So
there's got to be another. There's got to be another like even deeper secret Q that we don't know about.
Well, Q plus being Trump, maybe Q plus plus, something like that. Someone
Q
do the
plus plus.
Someone do the Q plus plus.
QUE.
QUE. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Or what's the letter after Q? You can go with that one too.
I was literally sitting here trying to remember what the letter after Q was, and I cannot for the life of me figure it out.
What if we just do R?
Yeah,
R and on.
Here we go.
There you go.
That's it.
Anyway,
Anyways, there's this article is significantly longer. Did you see something in here? Something else that you wanted to read? Basically, just the UN coming out, doing what the UN does.
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple paragraphs highlighted here. This was a quote from the same people here. Quote, respect, recognition, and reciprocity are some key levers that compel sovereign nations to respect and adhere to international law and human rights, including recognizing how racism creates and perpetuates ongoing and systemic grave violations of human rights.
Right.
So in international spaces, the idea is to create a culture of shared norms and values that facilitates peace, prosperity, and international cooperation that benefits everyone. It sounds to me like they're trying to set up this sort of tribunal for Trump, like, the world court sees you as a bad boy and we're gonna
that would be interesting.
Yeah. That's kind of what it feels like.
An international court.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. That would be, he would love that. I think he would be so down for that. I kind of wanted to, I don't know if I want to go into it. Now, what else do we got? Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to do it now. And then we'll go into the next story here. And I just wanted to mention it because I think it goes how I feel.
Yeah.
And what?
It goes hand in hand with the story. Go ahead.
Goes hand in hand. This is where I'm at. Okay. And, I just want to clarify this because, of course, well, that's just what you have to do nowadays. You have to clarify things because people jump to conclusions. Number one, black people are having an issue, and that means we're all having an issue. The issue of racial inequality in America does exist on an objective level. And you can support black people. You can support equality for everybody. That's a biblical concept that everybody here should believe in. And if you don't, just go read your Bible, man. But there's a difference between standing with our black brothers and sisters and supporting them and doing what, there you go. Again, don't need to add or subtract anything from that statement. I stand with my black brothers and sisters. But there's a difference between that and fully supporting organizations that are rife with corruption and can be used for corporate interests and can be used in ways that are outside of the pure purview of accomplishing the equality that everybody deserves, especially in the United States of America. Okay, so both things can be true. A Venn diagram, if you will. Of course, we stand for the respect and the equal treatment of black people, especially when it comes to police brutality. But when we start talking about Black Lives Matter as an organization and the infiltrators and the agendas and the funding and the corporate money and the political strings attached to all of that, it's okay to be against that stuff and still stand for racial equality in America. All right. Yeah. I'm just putting that out there. It just needed to be said. That's straightforward because it's 2020 and that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
So here we go. With that being said, let's go to Forbes.com.
No jingle for this one. Oh, you want me to do it?
Okay. Yeah, I'll do a jingle. Dun, 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 dun. Abolish the police. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Something happened to my screen. Okay. Forbes.com, LA mayor slashes LAPD budget as calls to defund police slowly pick up steam. Get out of my way, video. On Wednesday, Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti announced he is throwing out plans for a massive police budget hike as support for slashing police department funds grows among activists in the wake of George Floyd's death. Key facts. As protests continue across the country, some activists are calling to defund police and redirect those funds to other areas such as education and healthcare, arguing police reform is not enough. And I think LA is one of the leading places in the nation to try to help hire more black cops and things of that nature, but apparently not good enough, especially since the Rodney King thing happened in 92.
Right.
Black Lives Matter and a coalition of more than 100 other black rights organizations launched an open letter this week calling on citizens to sign a petition to demand local officials decrease funding for police departments and redirect funds to, we just read that, spending healthcare, education, and community programs. Some politicians are listening. The Los Angeles Police Department was set to receive a large increase in its annual budget from $1.189 billion last year to $1.86 billion.
Woo! That's a lot of money.
Okay, all right. I was
looking
at it wrong. I'm like, what isn't? Okay, yes. Most of the budget increases were. Let me try that again.
Most of the budget. What is going on, man? You got this, bro. Make that font bigger and just charge through it.
It's pretty big already, but yeah.
Oh no,
I'm lacking in sleep today. That's the big problem.
I had a hard time too.
Yeah, most of the budget increases were for new police bonuses for 2020 and 2021 before Garcetti axed the move Wednesday, cutting 100 to 150 million only after activists rallied outside of his home. He got scared. In New York, more than 40 city council candidates are calling for a $1 billion cut to the NYPD's $6 billion budget over 4 years to help fund other programs such as the city's Summer Youth Employment Program. In cities such as Minneapolis, Dallas, Philadelphia, and Nashville, similar movements are gaining traction. Still, most lawmakers have remained hesitant to the proposal. Quote, for folks who say defund the police, I would say that is not the way forward. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio said, indicating...
He's getting a lot of flack for that.
Yeah. Indicating that the department needs money for community policing and reaching out to young New Yorkers. No, I don't believe that we should defund police departments. That's Republican or Representative Karen Bass, Democrat, California, chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus, said during a press conference Wednesday. Tangent. State and local budgets have been squeezed by the coronavirus pandemic as tax revenues has plummeted and spending has increased. The shortfall could make decreasing police budgets more tenable, some activists argue. Key background: despite using the defund police phrase, most activists don't want to reduce appropriations to police departments to $0, which is impractical. Instead, supporters of the movement hope to reduce the responsibilities we ask of police and redirect funds to other social programs and giant robots. I added that last part. For hundreds of years, black communities have lived under state terror, be it police or vigilante violence. Patrice Coulors, co-founder of the Black Lives Matter movement, told The Hollywood Reporter, an abolitionist believes in a world where police and prisons are no longer weaponized as a tool for public safety. Still, there's no evidence that defunding departments will work to reduce police brutality. We are still in the advocacy stage. David Kennedy, director of the National Network for Safe Communities at John Jay College for Criminal Justice in New York, told Axios. This keeps going here. There's a lot. Oh, there's not that much more. Okay. Surprising fact. According to the Nonpartisan Urban Institute, spending as a percentage of direct general expenditures by state and local government, police spending has remained consistently at just under 4% from 1977 to 2017. The national average annual salary of a police officer is $67,600, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. However, the salary of a police officer can vary widely depending on the state. Critical quote, Garcetti calls the Floyd protests, quote, a movement to change who we are in America when it comes to Black America and our criminal justice system during a daily news briefing this week. So there you go. Further reading, bunch of links.
Yeah, well, the big thing being LA slashing $500 million from their proposed police budget. They're actually starting to defund the police. Now they're still getting a billion and some change, so they're they're not getting rid of the police. But this is very interesting. This will be a very interesting thing to watch. And
you had brought up sort of some historical precedents to this,
right?
Retooling the whole police system.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I got some friends over in Northern Ireland, and I've been over there in the past few years to visit and spending some time in Belfast. I don't know if anybody in the chat there has been to Belfast.
Is that where they do the big metal concerts?
I don't know. Probably. Anyway, so in Northern Ireland, for from the 70s until the 90s, late 90s, there was something called the Troubles. You should read up on it. Very interesting. It was happening during the first third of my life, and I had no idea about it. But basically, it was sectarian violence going on between Ireland and Northern Ireland, split between. It's technically between the Catholics and the Protestants, but that was sort of a renaming between loyalists and Republicans. Basically, a fight over who should control Ireland. And excuse me if I get any of the details wrong, my Irish friends. I apologize. I'm just kind of going off of memory right now. But it's very, very bloody conflict. And basically, there are two groups that fought for 30 years or so. And in 1998, they finally came to a conclusion and ended the Troubles, came to something resembling peace, although there's still tensions to this day in a really crazy way. And you can feel it when you're in Belfast. Very interesting place. But here's the thing. In 2001, Northern Ireland basically disbanded their police. and restarted it from scratch. That was part of the peace negotiations because the police forces were highly sectarian as well, being used to, fight and kill civilians. And so this has been done in this century. There has been countries that have disbanded entire police departments for the whole country and rebuilt it from the ground up. So it's very interesting because there is a recent historical precedent for this type of thing. Now, what that would look like in America, I have no idea. But that's I thought it was crazy. Even in the last couple of shows, we've been talking about it. I thought, abolish the police. That's completely insane. That's not even a realistic thing to even talk about. I don't understand. How can you just not have police? And I think that's kind of where they're leaning is like, of course, some super intense people will say no, get rid of all police, don't bring them back. But, there is a precedent for disbanding the current police system and building it up in a way, that is a little bit closer to what people will feel good about having as a police department.
Well, now has it worked? Did it work? Did it make things better in Ireland?
As far as I can tell, people are still people. There's still every once in a while, there's still some issues going on over there. Is at least what I'm told. That's just what I've heard that secondhand. The sectarianism is still very intense over there. In Belfast, there's a wall. There's a wall dividing Belfast. This was crazy. You would think that we would have heard about this. And of course, people are still fighting against it. There's campaigns to bring the wall down and things. But there's still a wall that divides the city between the Catholics and the Protestants, or the Republicans and the Loyalists. It's a very interesting place to be. And you can walk around the wall, and it's like 30 feet high. And the houses on either side have to put cages around their houses because people still throw junk over the wall. Anyways, that's besides the point. But very interesting place. Great place. Go to Belfast. Give them your money.
So I guess. But did the police?
I just thought it was interesting. I mean, there's a historical precedent in 2001. They did this.
I want to know more about it just because I'm curious to whether the police force, depending on what side they're from, do they arrest or not arrest people, or allow crimes to take place or not allow crimes to take place?
From what I hear, there's still a little bit of problems like that.
Okay. So corruption remains. Oh, what a surprise!
But that's a great point, and that's why I'm not full on the bandwagon, of course, for abolishing the police, or at least redoing it from the ground up, is because people are people, and you hire people, and sometimes there's bad people, and that just sucks, and it's hard to get past it. Now, I will say I also do agree with the concept of you can't have bad apples. There's this bad apple thing we got good cops, and then there's bad cops. There's just bad apples in the bunch. You can't have bad apples in a police department. And that's where just changing the laws and making it easier to get rid of bad cops is one of the main things that needs to get done. Because, what other job do you allow bad apples to get away with being bad apples?
Sounds like you've been listening to some Chris Rock jokes there, Mr. Basil.
Was there a Chris Rock joke?
I think Chris Rock little thing went viral about how you can't have bad cops, because it's kind of like he related it to airline
I did
pilots.
See the meme. Yeah. Okay. You're right. I saw the meme. I wasn't. Well, I might as well just do the joke now. You pilots, you can't have bad apple pilots.
Right. Well, it's a good point. The one thing that's not being talked about here, and we always talk about, we had a good run of the show where we talked nothing but AI and robots and technology, and we still talk about that a lot, but that's kind of the unspoken thing here with how to make things better or whatever, or at least in the eyes of the public, is a certain level of transparency. Sure, get rid of the bad apples, but we talked about the vest cams becoming more like something the public can watch maybe, or something.
Where I think you should be able to stream vest cams, body cams. Now,
Yeah.
of course, there's problems with
There's
that.
legal
I recognize
problems with
that.
yeah.
Huge problems with that. But still, the point remains.
Right. But also the integration of AI, the integration of robots, those things are going to really change a lot of the way police even operates. If you have some kind of situation that police are uncertain of, they can send in Johnny Number 5 first, and see what's going on.
And you make a great point. I mean, this whole thing is opening up the way. It's opening the gates, the floodgates for RoboCops. And it sounds like a joke, but we are not far from RoboCops.
No.
They already exist. It's just a matter of putting them into major action.
You know what's going to happen is they're going to find out that the robot was programmed by a white guy. Who programmed the robot?
Who programs the morality of the robot? And that's the problem. All right, one more thing, and then we'll go into a little break, Gons. This is a fun one.
Yes.
You ready for a fun one?
Kind of fun, yeah.
Newsweek.com. Is the Go Bald for Black Lives Matter movement real? Have you seen this? Did you see posts about this?
I did. This is why I decided to include it in the show. But yeah.
But I mean, did you see any actual people doing it?
I thought I did. I think one of them was fake, but yeah. Go ahead.
Well, why don't you read it then?
Okay. All right. It says here, on Thursday night, a sudden influx of tweets with the hashtag #GoBaldForBLM started appearing on Twitter. Pictures of Caucasian women with shaved heads saying that they went bald in solidarity for the cause started to gain traction and spread confusion. By Friday morning, over 24,000 people had tweeted using the hashtag to express their confusion. And there's a picture here of Emma Watson bravely showing her support for Black Lives Matter by going hashtag #BaldForBLM. And there she is with her shaved head. The hashtag itself, allegedly, yeah. The hashtag itself originated on the poll, I think that's politics, section of 4chan. According to a screenshot from the original 4chan thread, which has since been archived, the goal of the fake hashtag is to, quote, get women, particularly white women, to shave their heads for BLM. Dozens of fake accounts were created for this purpose, posting stolen images for their own purposes. And a little bit more images there, tweets and whatnot. Stephanie McField's, a fake account on Twitter, posted an image of a woman with a shaved head with the caption, "Reject the patriarchy and white domination. Reject your ancestors now," which doesn't, that sounds tame for what a lot of those folks would say. But the woman in that image is actually named Marielle McKenna, and the image was taken from a blog post on the website for the College of the Holy Cross about how she wanted to donate her hair to raise awareness for pediatric cancer. The accounts who started the hashtag have under 10 followers and have been posting bait for those willing to engage. A photoshopped article claimed to be from ABC News about actress Emma Watson shaving her hair also started to appear online, but is easily debunked. Other accounts, like Ashley Watts 2K, which gained viral traction on Twitter, have since been removed from the platform. So I got a couple more fake accounts here. Looking through, it doesn't seem like anybody actually shaved their heads in response to this movement, and only trolls continue to post fake images. K-pop stans have been flooding the hashtag with their own tweets decrying the movement, causing the hashtag to gain more viral traction. Aid03, which 4chan has been touting as a win, posted an image of her with a shaved head, but it's clear from the thread that she's an eager participant in the joke. And 4chan users seem to be fairly mixed with the results of the hashtag. In newer threads, users posted statements like, quote, "It's very uninspired and has technically already failed. The table is open to other dumb ideas." Another wrote, "Where do I find a bald girl's picture to pretend that I shaved my head?" This isn't the first time 4chan has managed to trick people into shaving their heads. In 2012, the board tried to create a movement with a fake screenshot claiming that the singer had cancer and that fans were shaving their own heads to show support. Don't shave your head for Black Lives Matter. There are much better ways to show solidarity, like giving millions and millions of dollars to the Black
well,
Lives
this is
movement.
virtue signaling at its best, and it seems like some people in the chat aren't listening to the show, but just the whole point is that this was a big practical joke played on the entire world. Marry Me Basil in the chat says they're shaving my head for Basil. So there you go. I've got my own movement. Yeah. But I mean, this was obviously cooked up by some evil geniuses over on 4chan there. Get people to go skinhead to support Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, but it didn't really work. That's the part that's disappointing.
I think it worked a little bit. I think there's got to be one person who did it. I mean, I did do some scrolling. I did some scrolling on Twitter right before the show to look at it. It looks like the cat's out of the bag. Everybody knows it's fake now. But when you go, there was hundreds of people who had the shaved head pictures. Now, maybe are those hundreds of 4chaners playing the joke? Maybe, probably, who knows? But there you go. That's what you open yourself up to when you are jumping on board with whatever virtue signaling you possibly can.
It's one of those that clearly could have worked if the people did a better job of maybe not faking it or at least trying to, I don't know. It's just too easy to debunk if it's an amateur job, It's one of those things that definitely I can see people jumping on board for something like that, especially on social media. If you get one celebrity to catch on and do it. Oh yeah. Boom. Totally. You got a whole bunch of people doing it.
I'm absolutely sure somebody out there did it, and they may have taken down their post. Once it came out that it was a joke, they probably took down the post. Yeah, and then they're just crying alone in their bedroom with a bald head because they got taken, which is too bad, but it happens.
Yeah.
All right, Gons, we got a bunch more show to do, but real quick, let's take a little break.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
Come on, take a break. That's right. We're just going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, people, because we got some great stories coming up in about 3 minutes here. We got some Bill Gates. We got some vaccine. We got some COVID updates, some cyborg stuff. It's going to be great. So stick around. But real quick, I want to give some big old shout outs to some of our new Twitch followers. Gonzo, are you ready?
I'm ready. I have my, what do you always call it?
Say it. You got your dinger dinged.
My dinger. Yep. Ready.
Okay, here we go. I want to give a big old shout out to Morita DZ17. Moritads17. Then we got, I like this one. We got a great user named Rattlesome Cages.
Oh, I like it.
Thanks for following, Rattlesome Cages. We got Walking Bear 369.
Scary. Walking Bears.
Yeah, this one's for you, Gons. We got a good one here. This one's Nephilim Slayer. Oh, yeah. We got the Nephilim Slayer in the house. We got Rami Chahin.
What's up, Rami?
We got Cool Steve Jokes. Now, Cool Steve Jokes was, I think, the troll that was spamming the chat a little while ago. So he's now banned, but he's still here on my list. So there's your shout out, Cool Steve's Jokes. I got Freedom by Truth.
Like it.
We got Works Pinion.
Pinion.
We got Cassil Asian. We got the Pussycat Swallowtail. Oh my gosh, I hope I didn't say something bad. Sounds like a kitty cat Ouroboros.
I was going to say just that. Yeah. Kitty Ouroboros.
Yeah. Weave 423. Godzilla 3. A lot of threes. We got the third Godzilla. Sarah Beth 920. And I think... Oh no! Wow, we got a bunch of people who just followed. A burnt fella 1.
Oh,
Leophilusion London. Leophilus London. That was a tough one. Remember, folks, I gotta read these. Warfare Warrior 777.
I like the Warriors.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Genonione. Gen 11. Maybe that's what it was. Okay. That makes way more sense.
I want to say what's up to D Live fan Sam on D Live.
Okay, what's up, D-Live? Very good.
ahead.
Thank you guys so much for following us on Twitch. It helps a whole bunch. We are trying our darndest to hit partner over there. It'll unlock a whole bunch of cool tools, make the show even better, and increase the ability for listener interaction. There's going to be some really fun interactive tools that'll open up for us. And of course, I want to give some shout outs to people in the chat. Flippy Officials in the house today. We got Canary Screamer in the house, Margiver, His Way, Overlord of the West made it. Hey, Overlord of the West, thanks for the follow recently.
I'm gonna stop doing there's too many and you're going through it too fast.
I'm just rolling through, saying hi. Okay. Of course, Marry Me Basil is here. We got Cool Runnings Mon. Let's see. There you go. Yeah. Oh, and Jeff Bezos RFID chips in stock. He says BLM merchandising stock. Buy some now. Flip. There you go.
Make sure that Bezos. Fire didn't burn up that stock of RFIDs in there.
I know. He's always trying to come sell his microchips to our sell his Mark of the Beast to our listeners. I don't think he's sold one yet though, but we'll have to check the earnings report next quarter.
Do better.
Yeah. And remember, folks, we're going to Twitch now. More important than ever, do you need to go follow us on Twitch? I see you, YouTube people. I see you watching. And as we said at the top of the show, Gonza's channel, Face Like the Sun channel, has been demonetized. The crackdown continues, and who knows how long even everything will be there. You're going to need to, Gonz, you got to remember to archive all those videos, man, because you never know. It could totally disappear.
One of the cool things is that on BitChute, BitChute automatically backs up all the videos that gets published on YouTube. And I got a message from Ray Vahey, who started BitChute back in 2016. And nobody knew about BitChute in 2016. And he gave me a channel very early on, so I appreciated Ray there. And one of the cool features was that as soon as I publish on YouTube, it automatically shows up on the
archives
BitChute.
Over there.
Yeah, it archives over there. So very cool thing to do because I don't have to upload it twice and all that stuff. And I'm probably gonna have to make a library.tv account at some point here. So.
Yeah, gonna need to do it. So there you go. All you YouTube people over there, you're on the wrong side of history, man. You got to come over to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. Follow us on Twitch. Watch the show on Twitch. It helps us out a whole bunch, and you get to stick it to the man over there at YouTube, trying to keep us off the air. So there you go. You'll be welcomed with open arms. Let me tell you, YouTubers, the Twitch chatters are very fond of YouTubers who defect and come over to Twitch. And there you go. So YouTube has turned their back on us, and now we need to bring you with us, people. So twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. Support us, support the show. Just simply watching it, having it open, watch with the stream going on your computer. Just consider it every minute that you're watching us on Twitch. You're taking dollars out of Susan Wojcicki's pocket. Susan Wojcicki has not shown up in the chat the past week or two.
It's been a while.
Yeah, she's mad at us.
I do want to give one more shout out to Block Bear on D-Live because
there you go, Block Bear.
Those are the two on D-Live. So yeah, D-Live.
the real hardcore dudes over there on D-Live.
Yeah, people were giving us trouble about Twitch because it's owned by Amazon. Yeah, and people were like, "Oh, you're just moving from one thing to another." Yeah, sure.
Our good personal friend Jeff Bezos told us to do it.
And Titus Frost, who's another YouTuber out there, he was big on D-Live. And one of the problems with D-Live is that they were bought up by Justin Sun, who runs a crypto. He's trying to build like a crypto kingdom. He's like a young billionaire, and he recently bought Steemit. If you guys are familiar with Steemit, which was a
I haven't heard much about Steemit recently.
Well, they got bought out basically by Justin Sun, and he sort of ticked off all the users there, and they had to do like a community fork and create this thing called Hive. And it's just a whole drama going on. So, D Live, kind of cool. I mean, cool, but not cool. Justin Sun also bought, what was it called? BTT is the BitTorrent. He bought BitTorrent. Do you remember BitTorrent?
Yeah.
Yeah, he bought it, and he made like a crypto.
I didn't know it existed. I didn't know it was something you could actually buy. I bet he got a good deal on it.
Yeah, he bought him out and created the BitTorrent token. And if you actually, I think on DLive, you can stake BitTorrent tokens and actually earn BitTorrent tokens. But anyway,
okay, sounds complicated.
Things happening. Yep.
Yeah.
Decentralized blockchain confusion, Web 3.0.
There we go. Very good. Okay, well, there we go. Thank you all. People are making the switch. Arm in arm. YouTubers, arm in arm, marching over to follow the Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. Gons, why don't you throw the link in there just to make it easy for everybody? To make the switch, do that. Very good.
Make the switch. Go
just
to Twitch.
Just a little update here. Let me check. We were second on the rankings over at Twitch in the first half of the show. There, we're now down to 5th, but we're at the top of the list still. But we need more YouTubers to come on over, create an account, watch us on Twitch. We need to climb the ranks. It not just for our own egos, but it helps other people find the show and helps the truth get out. And that's the whole point, right? Yep. So you can actively help other people find the truth by just watching us on Twitch, because they do not stifle us with their algorithms like YouTube does, actively hiding what we do.
Not yet, anyway.
Ready to continue with the show?
One more thing before we move on. This goes back to the head shaving thing. I was very curious about some of that and just the history. And there's actually there's a website called War History Online. And I found this interesting. I did not know this. The punishment of shaving a woman's head had biblical origins. And I didn't see the biblical references, but that's what it says here. In Europe, the practice dated back to the Dark Ages with the Visigoths. During the Middle Ages, this mark of shame, denuding a woman of what was supposed to be her most seductive feature, was commonly a punishment for adultery. Shaving women's heads as a mark of retribution and humiliation was reintroduced in the 20th century. After French troops occupied the Rhineland in 1923, German women who had relations with them later suffered the same fate. And during the Second World War, the Nazi state issued orders that German women accused of sleeping with non-Aryans or foreign prisoners employed on farms should also be publicly punished in this way. So interesting there, because of course, when we think about the shaved head, there's a couple celebrities that have done it in the past. And there was the Britney Spears situation where she shaved her head once and people suspected that she was kind of...
Yeah, it was normally a sign of shame.
Right.
For women in particular. I mean, it's a very specific genderized thing about it. You know, a woman's head gets shaved is very shameful. Happened in, what was it? Game of Thrones. Shame. Shame.
Okay. Yeah,
shame.
Maybe that's where the 4chan people got the idea to try to flip the whole thing onto the head of the Libjo people.
I do gotta say, I love the Twitch people the most because Incarnate Unlimited over there, loyal producer of the show, says, I'm a smash anyone else I hear talking smack about those big googly eyes. Those are genuine Michael's googly eyes, and they rock. So there you go. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Unlimited.
Yeah. And he mentioned how he had played or sang with Metallica back in 1998. So I looked it up and I found it and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the guy. And I remember watching it in high school. I was all pumped about that MTV.
You watched the actual one?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So very cool to have you in chat there. Anyway.
Cool. Okay. All right. Let's get on with the show.
Vakcin.
That's right. Time to talk about some vaccines, Gons. This is from metro.co.uk. Bill Gates hits out at anti-vaxxers over coronavirus misinformation. He's striking back. Speaking to Radio 4's Today program ahead of his talk at the Gavi Global Vaccine Summit 2020 in London today, Gates indicated his frustration at those opposed to a vaccine. Quote, "It is troubling that in times like that and accelerated by digital tools, there is so much craziness," he said. "Eventually, when we have the vaccine, we'll want to develop the herd immunity to have over 80% of the population taken." What? Want to have over 80% of the population taken? Sounds like he's going to kidnap
Freudian
everybody.
slip.
Yeah. He continues, if they have heard that it is a plot or vaccines in general are bad and we don't have people willing to take the vaccine, then that will let the disease continue to kill people. So you're going to kill your mama if you don't take the vaccine. Continuing. So it is a bit worrying that there is some of that crazy stuff, he says. "I'm kind of surprised that some of that is focused on me." Oh, so surprised, really? Bill Gates. "We are just giving money away to get there to be a tool. We just write checks to pharma companies, and we happen to have a lot of the smart pharmaceutical expertise in our foundation and are considered a fair broker between governments and the companies to help pick the best approach." That was my Bill Gates.
You got to put in some
He's just whining. I didn't realize I was more of trying to like spiritually represent how I would expect it to sound.
Yeah.
Since leaving Microsoft, Gates set up the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation with his wife and turned completely to philanthropy. They have tackled the likes of polio and malaria around the world and warned for years about the dangers of infectious diseases. Addressing a TED Talk 5 years ago, Gates, 64, warned the next global catastrophe would not be caused by a war, but by a virus. Let's see, 5 years ago, that would have been 2015. Which I believe is one of the years that the Wuhan lab got a bunch of money from the United States.
It is. Yeah. This was also the talk about, I think this is the talk where he said that, there's all these factors that are causing the issues in the world, and one of them we have to bring to zero, and one of them was like, the population growth.
Yeah.
So right there, he kind of slipped up again.
Specifically. And, I haven't been able to actually find the document of this, but there are pictures, maybe doctored. There is a clip, and the No Agenda show tracked down the clip. And again, whether the clip is real or not is another question. But the original name of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was something like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for
population control.
That's what it was. Yeah. Anyways, enough about that. He said, "If anything kills over 10 million people in the next few decades, it's most likely to be a highly infectious virus rather than a war. Not measles, but missiles. Sorry, not missiles, but microbes. Part of the reason for this is we have invested a huge amount in nuclear deterrence, but we've actually invested very little in a system to stop an epidemic. We're not ready for the next epidemic. Now, the billionaire is doing what he can to fight the outbreak. He wrote, there are currently 6 different efforts going on around the world to develop a coronavirus vaccine, of course. So there you go. He's getting agitated. He's surprised that he's getting so much attention.
He's in a bubble that is so thick that when he hears this, it's just, it's crazy. I didn't realize people were mad. I didn't...
Yeah, so there you go. He's noticed you, anti-vaxxers. Stay on your toes. He knows you're out there.
I like how he thinks that, the vaccine, the disease is going to kill all these people when his vaccines have already killed, who knows how many. But
yeah, you notice how they don't mention some of the failed vaccine programs that have sterilized thousands of young African women and crippled many more over other continents and countries like India.
I wonder if he knows. Do you think he knows about it? Or do you think the people that
I don't know what he knows and doesn't know, Gons?
I know that, but it just seems to me that unless you're just super evil guy, which I know everyone's characterizing Bill Gates as a super evil guy, and certainly his thinking isn't really jiving with the majority of the public out there right now. But There's a part of me that thinks that information is withheld from him. Like if there was a botched tribe or something that gets totally taken out by these vaccines.
That is a good point.
They might not tell him. They might be like, oh, it was just it failed.
Or might not even tell him that. There's a couple of alternatives. One being, first of all, he says in this interview, all I do is write checks. No big deal. I just write checks. I just help people out. I don't personally. Now, of course, we have clips of him talking much more explicitly about these things. But he's either sort of trying to slough off the responsibility, or he of course, most of, if not all of what he does is write checks. He may not know, but that might be either by design, or he just writes a check and then goes back into his his hollow dome and lives out some weird life that he wants to live.
There's people saying that, of course, he knows, and certainly, obviously, we don't know what's in the man's head right now. But with people like Bill Gates, who's very public, he's a billionaire, he's a very public individual. He has a posse around him, that of people that tell him what to say, what to do, and certainly, I don't feel like he necessarily. Especially at this age where he's at the point where he doesn't need to do anything. He can just kind of ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, guys like him, they don't cook their own food. They don't go to a grocery store.
Yeah,
they don't do any of the normal stuff that a regular human does.
He takes photo op pictures with a book on the stack that says how to lie with statistics and doesn't think anything of it. Like I wonder if he's even read those books, or if it's just a photo op. Right. You just never know with these guys. So that's all I'm
sure
saying.
He's got a lot of time. I'm sure he reads the books, but or has them read to him by a
robot
butler or something. Yeah.
the Clippy from the Microsoft Word still reads to him at night.
Okay, let's do a quick thing about COVID. What do you say?
COVID. And by the way, somebody asked about that jingle and what that music was, and we didn't know, Basil. We didn't know right off the top, but it's Steely Dan is the music.
Steely Dan.
So this is Politico.com. Suddenly, public health officials say social justice matters more than social distance.
Oh.
Yeah. Bad call to use both social in both of those things. For months, public health experts have urged Americans to take every precaution to stop the spread of COVID-19, stay at home, steer clear of friends and extended family, and absolutely avoid large gatherings. Now, some of those experts are broadcasting a new message. It's time to get out of the house and join the mass protest against racism. Need to make the font bigger here. We should always evaluate the risks and benefits of efforts to control the virus, Jennifer Nuzzo, a Johns Hopkins epidemiologist, tweeted on Tuesday. In this moment, the public health risks of not protesting to demand an end to systemic racism greatly exceeds the harms of the virus. Quote, the injustice that's evident to everyone right now needs to be addressed. Abar Karan, a Brigham and Women's Hospital physician who's exhorted coronavirus experts to amplify the protest's anti-racist message, told me. Quote,
now, hold on real quick. I want to go back to a thing, one of the quotes. Okay. It says, in this moment, the public health risks of not protesting to demand an end to systematic racism greatly exceed the harms of the virus. Okay. So let's assume.
Okay, let's
okay, hold on.
Logically here.
Let's assume that this person is, toes the line, that they will believe whatever Fauci tells them. Yep. I'm assuming that this is that kind of person, because the only other alternative is that this person is a conspiracy theorist about COVID.
The virus. Yeah.
I'm going to first take the point that let's assume that they toe the line.
Well, Johns Hopkins epidemiologist probably towing the line. Yeah.
Right. So in this moment, the public health risks of not protesting to demand an end to systematic racism greatly exceed the harms of the virus. So first of all, the original models for coronavirus, for COVID-19, if no social distancing happened, the original models said it would kill 2 million people.
Yes.
So when this person says that going out and crowding up with a 1,000 other people all over, having this happen all over the country, that 2 million people dying a horrible death of COVID-19 alone in a hotel, alone in a hospital room, away from their loved ones, gasping for breath. 2 million is less harm than not going out and protesting, which includes rioting and violence.
How many people have died?
Burning down warehouses.
How many have died from the protests and the?
I saw something that said 8.
8.
I'm sure it's more. I'm sure there's a little bit more, but I saw a list a couple days ago that had 8 people who have died in the protests. So this woman is saying she would rather 2 million people, because she's a Fauci person. Right. She's an epidemiologist. She thinks it's worse. Sorry, she thinks it's better that 2 million people die of COVID than to not have rioting protests all over the place. I'm just saying, this is crazy doublespeak again.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is
either that or this epidemiologist does not think that COVID is a very big danger. Right. Those are the two options.
Yeah,
she's either literally Hitler or she's a conspiracy theorist.
You don't even have to use the 2 million number. You can use the number that a lot of libjo types were peddling, which is the 100,000 dead. Remember that a few weeks ago?
That's what they think the current number is.
Well, let's take the current number.
With that, right? Sure, but that's not what she's saying. That's not. I'm just saying she's either literally Hitler or a conspiracy theorist.
Now that right there is a definition of insanity.
Where's that come from? Have we ever played that before?
Yeah, we've played it. We played it before. It's some video game. I can't remember which one. Somebody on Twitch should know. It is the video game platform.
All right, continue with the thing. Let's talk. Let's hear more.
All right. So Abar Karen, she says, quote, "I have voiced concerns that protests risk creating more outbreaks. The status quo wasn't going to stop COVID-19 either," he wrote on Twitter this week. It's a message echoed by media outlets and some of the most prominent public health experts in America, like former Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Director Tom Friedman, who loudly warned against the efforts to rush reopening, but is now supportive of mass protests. Their claim, if we don't address racial inequality, it'll be that much harder to fight COVID-19. There's also evidence that the virus doesn't spread easily outdoors, especially if people wear masks, which is why they told us to go inside and don't do anything, slave. The experts,
you know what?
Yes.
Sorry, no, continue. I'm going to see if I can look for something real quick.
The experts maintain that their messages are consistent, that they were always flexible in Americans going outside. Oh, okay. That they want protesters to take precautions and that they're prioritizing public health by demanding an urgent fix to systemic racism. And something about this, the wearing masks part as well, that's another point to be made here, because part of what changes sort of the way you behave outdoors is based on how you're dressed, how you look, and wearing a mask. Well, what do the protesters do even beforehand? Like going out there with masks and protesting almost as if they're turning all these people into activated Antifa members or something without even them knowing it. The experts maintain that their messages are consistent, blah, blah, blah. But their messages are also confounding to many who spent the spring strictly isolated on the advice of health officials, only to hear that the need might not be so absolute after all. It's particularly nettlesome to conservative skeptics of the all-or-nothing approach to lockdown, who point out that many of the same public health experts, a group that tends to skew liberal, widely criticized activists who held largely outdoor protests against lockdowns in April and May, accusing demonstrators of posing a public health danger. Conservatives who felt their own concerns about long-term economic damage or even mental health costs of lockdown were brushed aside days or weeks ago, are increasingly asking whether these public health experts are letting their politics sway their healthcare recommendations. I think that's the real kind of point here. Quote, their rules appear ideologically driven as people can only gather for purposes deemed important by the elite central planners. Brian Blaze, who worked on health policy for the Trump administration, told me, an echo of complaints raised by prominent conservative leaders like J.D. Vance and Tim Carney. Conservatives also have seized on a Twitter thread by Drew Holden, a commentary writer and former GOP Hill staffer, comparing how politicians and pundits criticized earlier protests but have been silent on the new ones or even championed them. Quote, I think that's lost on people. I think what's lost on people is that there's... I'm having trouble with this. I think what's lost on people is that there have been real sacrifices made during lockdown, Holden told me. People who couldn't bury loved ones, small businesses destroyed. How can a health expert look those people in the eye and say it was worth it now? And actually, I did see, I think it was today or yesterday, they did the George Floyd memorial service, and there's a bunch of people posting pictures of them kneeling in front of the casket and stuff like that, and I saw the similar sentiments as to people who lost relatives and loved ones during the whole lockdown, couldn't really be with their loved ones, but because of this whole situation with the George Floyd, now you got people virtue signaling from his memorial service. Some members of the medical community acknowledged they're grappling with the U-turn in public health advice too. Quote, it makes it clear that all along there were trade-offs between details of lockdowns and social distancing and other factors that the experts previously discounted and have now decided to reconsider and rebalance, said Jeffrey Flyer, a former dean of Harvard Medical School. Flyer pointed out that the protests were also engaging in behaviors like loud singing in close proximity, which CDC has repeatedly suggested would be linked to spreading the virus. Quote, at least for me, the sudden change in views of the danger of mass gatherings has been disorienting, and I suspect it has been for many Americans, he told me. Okay, it goes on. We get it. There's a disparity here between the public health officials saying, go inside, and now saying, no, go outside, protest.
Right.
It's more important.
Yeah, no. As usual, the actual recommendations keep flip-flopping as far as the COVID stuff goes, and whatever serves the current agenda the most is the one that they're going to be pushing. And Adam over on at No Agenda, John and Adam, the No Agenda show, we mentioned once in a while, and they're great. They played a clip. I was just looking for it, and I found it on the actual World Health Organization website. They have a video where they talk about masks. And basically they say in the video on the WHO website, says, you pretty much don't need to wear a mask unless you're a professional caregiver. And also don't wear the same mask twice. Don't this, don't that. Just completely opposite what we've always been told.
Yeah.
I could send this to you. I don't think we need to play it on the show right now, but maybe we can pop it into chat or something if people want it.
Look it up.
Look it up. That's right. Yep. Okay. Let's see here. You want to talk about cyborgs for a second?
Yeah, running out of time a little bit, but sure, we can do a little...
Oh, yeah. What are we looking at?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're hurting.
Yeah, that's okay.
Are you ready to become cyborg?
Gotta do a little tech stuff.
Yeah, I'll just blast through a couple of these and then we'll get on with the show here. This is medicalexpress.com. Silicon neurons may add a new dimension to computer processors. When it fires, a neuron consumes significantly more energy than an equivalent computer operation. And yet, a network of coupled neurons can continuously learn, sense, and perform complex tasks at energy levels that are currently unattainable for even state-of-the-art processors. What does a neuron do to save energy that a contemporary computer processing unit doesn't? Computer modeling by researchers at Washington University and St. Louis McKelvey School of Engineering may provide an answer using simulated silicon neurons. They found that energy constraints on a system coupled with the intrinsic property neurons have to move to the lowest energy configuration leads to a dynamic, at a distance communication protocol that is both more robust and more energy efficient than traditional computer processors. The research from the lab of Shantanu Chakrabarty, the Clifford W. Murphy professor in the Preston M. Green Department of Systems and Electrical Engineering, was published last month in the Journal of Frontiers in Neuroscience. It's a case of doing more with less. Ahana Gangapadhyay, a doctoral student in Chakrabarty's lab and a lead author on the paper, has been investigating computer models to study the energy constraints on silicon neurons, artificially created neurons, connected by wires that show the same dynamics and behavior as neurons in our brains. Like biological neurons, their silicon counterparts also depend on specific electrical conditions to fire or spike. These spikes are the basis of neuronal communication, zipping back and forth, carrying information from neuron to neuron. The researchers first looked at the energy constraints on a single neuron, then a pair, then they added more. Quote, "We found there's a way to couple them where you can use some of these energy constraints themselves to create a virtual communication channel," Chakrabarty said. A group of neurons operates under a common energy constraint. So when a single neuron spikes, it necessarily affects the available energy, not just for the neurons it's directly connected to, but for all others operating under the same energy constraint. Spiking neurons thus create perturbations in the system, allowing each neuron to know which others are spiking, which are responding, and so on. It's as if the neurons were all embedded in a rubber sheet. A single ripple caused by a spike would affect them all. And like all physical processes, systems of silicon neurons tend to self-optimize to their least energetic states, also being affected by the other neurons in the network. So there's quite a bit more fancy science talk in this article, but basically, Gons and listeners, they have at least run models on synthetic neurons and connecting them made of silicon. Right. And why is this interesting? Why do we care? Well, when we talk about machine learning, we talk about artificial intelligence, we talk about the coming technocalypse. One of the biggest issues, and again, it's a point of pride for me because I called it back in 2012, how they would actually create artificial neural networks. So I'm very proud of that. But the way to enhance artificial intelligence and or machine learning and things like that, the stuff we need to create the RoboCops that we need to bring peace and harmony and utopia to the human race instead of all this human policing business. It will be done by reconstructing the neuronic systems of the human brain. None of this computer chip nonsense. None of this, get your IBM chips into the RoboCop. No. What you do is you actually create a neural network of a neuronic network of silicon neurons, which will be extend the battery life of RoboCop, which we all want, but as well as facilitating the robot apocalypse where they become sentient, and then the end of the story, Gonzo.
Yeah, and one of the big issues, I think I reported this in Age of Deceit 2, but one of the scientists, the brain scientist that I quoted in the film, was talking about the big problem, the big barrier for us to figure out how the brain works is the energy consumption. How does the brain operate on such, how does it process so much information with such little energy? Maybe because God created humanity. But they're trying to figure that out. So that's been a big barrier. So
gotcha,
this is a big
science.
Step. Yeah, this is a big step in that direction in terms of figuring out how the human brain works. Man trying to play God.
Yeah, not just figuring it out, but recreating
it. Yeah. Well, they need to figure it out to recreate it. Bezos.
That's right. Okay, one more little update, and then we got some fun stuff to do.
Yeah, we'll try to blast through the Satanist type stuff. We can go through it pretty quickly here. So,
okay.
Let's see. This is a quick space update. Space.
Do it.
Update.
Hit the jingle, man.
Space. Wanna go to space?
Successful deployment of 60 Starlink satellites confirmed.
We got 60 more, baby.
And if you're watching on the screen, allegedly, this is Starlink, the giant satellites that are allegedly, I'm going to keep saying allegedly, orbiting around the Earth to beam down internet. This is the Elon Musk project to get internet to everybody on all corners of the plane cake.
Nice.
And I mean, it looks like a giant, Optimus
Y'all
Prime.
know what Starlink is. We get these Starlink updates every once in a while because we got to keep track of how many satellites we got up there, and now we got 60 more. That just keeps going, man.
I know. All right. How many are they going to have? Like millions or something?
I think 12,000.
Well, they got approved for a couple million or something, right?
Yeah, they first got approved for like 12 or 16,000, and then I think it got raised to 60,000, and then I'm sure it got raised again.
Okay.
So yeah, they're approved for too many satellites.
Let's blast through the Satanist stuff, and then we'll just do all the thank yous at the end, if you want.
I don't know about that.
Oh, okay.
I don't like doing the thank yous at the end.
Okay. All right. Fine. Let's
do the
thank yous then.
Let's just do it real quick. We'll just take a really quick break.
Okay. Real quick break.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
That's right. Come on, take a break, everybody. We want to give some shout outs and some thank yous to some very important people. We got some more Twitch followers, but I'll give them just very quick shout outs. Just a couple of dings here. We got CJ for Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And Super Duper 007. We got Ultrabron 123. We got John Nada 8 o'clock a.m. We got I am cool.
You are cool.
Ooh, I like this one. We got Crusader for the little guy.
Woo!
Thanks, Crusader for the little guy. And I think that's all we got. Okay, now for some other very important people we need to thank. And just to let everybody know how and why we're doing this, here's the thing, folks. We're a value for value proposition here. We, as you've heard in the top of the show, we have eschewed the shackles of corporate money. What does that mean? Well, we don't do advertising on the show very consciously. Bad business decision, but at least we can get to sleep at night. Because what is advertising done for this world? Absolutely nothing. And it's created the whole issue where, especially news sites, but it's all about eyeballs. You do whatever you got to do. You say whatever you got to say. You bend the knee to whoever you got to bend the knee to get the highest amount of viewers so that you can get paid that money by gaining the trust and the attention of your viewers, listeners, and then selling that attention for your own personal gain. Doesn't sound very cool now, does it? That's right. So that's why we're value for value. We do the show. We put work in, folks. This is our 4th show this week, and we give it out to you for free, and then you have the opportunity, if you get any value out of the show, to put value back in, and so the circle continues. So we can continue doing the show, and we can only continue doing the show by thanking some very generous producers for contributing financially to the show, and that's what we're going to do now. And that's right, I called them producers, because if you give to the show, you are a producer. That's what producers do. Executive producers, all sorts of producers. Part of what they do is pay for the show, and they're not just listeners. They're not just audience members. They are part of what makes the show run. So let's thank them, Gonzo, over on patreon.com. First of all, thank you, Mary. That's right. Thank you very much. Mary came in on June 4th. And also Chris came in. Thank you very much, Chris. Then we got an upgraded pledge from Cynthia. Thank you very much, Cynthia. Thank you. And there we go. Those are our new and upgraded producers here on the show today. Some of them are in the chat, so everybody make sure to thank them there as well. You guys are helping to keep the show going. Gons, who do you got over there?
PayPal. We got PayPal people coming in. Jason.
Thank you very much.
There it is. And Brett. Thank you, Brett, for
Thank you very much, Brett.
Support on PayPal.
And I actually, do you have the CCR PayPal ones?
I don't, but
I'm sorry, Patreon? I got it.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
And on the Canary Cry Radio Patreon, patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio. Big old shout out to producer Jack.
Jack Sparrow.
And producer Stacy Abrams.
Yeah.
Yep, Stacey Abrams supports the show. Tristan Thompson. Yep,
that's a obscure NBA reference. Sorry about that.
And one more from CJ. Thank you very much, guys. Make sure to thank these people in the chat. They are producers of the show. They help keep it going. And if you out there want to help the show keep going, if you get value out of the show, go to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. And there's different levels there you can join up. You can also go to patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio. Either one of those will work. And become a producer. Support the show. We'll give you a shout out because you deserve it. Dang it. Also, you can go to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. And over there, you've got PayPal options, you've got recurring donation options, and one-time donation options, as well as cryptocurrency. So if you want to send over some cryptocurrency, you'll have to email us your name if you send us cryptocurrency, because it's anonymous on the dark web, whatever it's called.
No, it's not.
I know.
Yes, it is.
So there you go. Thank you very much for everybody who supports the show. You guys are the best. And remember, you can support the show in all sorts of ways, but definitely financial support is essential to keep the show going, for the longevity of the show. But not even just that, to keep it, to keep Gonz and I from needing to go out and get advertisers. I've said it before, I'm not bragging, but we get a lot of requests for advertising on the show because we've got great listeners who continue to listen. But we have turned down every opportunity, and some of them are very big opportunities because we don't believe in gaining your trust and your attention, turning it around, and selling it to a corporation. So you're welcome, and now it's you guys have the opportunity to help keep the show going. So thank you very much.
Did you give a shout out to 8 Hairy Legs on Twitch?
No.
Are they not following us yet? I see them in the chat. That's
yeah,
a really
they're
funny
in Twitch. Name. I don't know. Maybe they followed a long time ago.
8 Hairy Legs. Love the name.
Very funny. 8 Hairy Legs. We bring all sorts of species to the show.
Are you ready for let's blast through some of the Satan stuff.
Let's do it. We got some satanic updates.
He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
What do you got?
This is a video that went viral. This is some Satanists, self-proclaimed atheist Satanists, protesting for the Black Lives Matter stuff here. This clip is of a group of hooded individuals holding a pentagram, it is a pentagram banner and walking by, and here's the audio here.
Satanic Temple?
We're atheists and we're Satanists.
Are you for or against Trump?
We're against Trump.
Why?
Why do you think? He's going to take most of our rights away. Not happy about that. We want to protect you.
So there you go. Some Satanists want to protect us.
They just care about us, man. That's nice of them. I do got to say, the Twitch user, the Black Pope, said they donated $60 on PayPal, but no shout out. Did he not shout out the $60 one? We saw that come in, Black Pope. I'm sorry.
Let me see if.
That's okay. Pope. Thank you. We're shouting you out now.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Look, even the Black Pope supports the show, folks.
Oh, gosh. That's one way to. People just tuning in are just like, no, not listening to the show. They talk about Satanists and the Black Pope supports them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's. You got more to say about those Satanists? They care about us. Satanists care about you, man.
They care about us, and it's definitely a theme throughout this whole thing here. But before we get to it, let's do another quick Satanist update here.
He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
I just love that clip. And we can play the whole thing now because we're already demonetized. So, that guy's probably demonetized for sure.
Who knows where that guy's at? Yeah. This is from mg.co.za. Satanists say hell no to gatherings during level 3. Followers of the Horned God must practice their beliefs in private, says the South African Satanic Church. Believed to be the first registered church of its kind in South Africa, the church said earlier this week that it believed it was safer for its members to stay home at present. The new Stage 3 lockdown rules allow for limited gatherings by faith-based organizations. The SASC, South African Satanic Church, advice to believers is contrary to its founding ethos of wanting to come out of the shadows and change what it claims is a misrepresentation of its beliefs. Quote, the church council decided that we will not have gatherings or rituals or Bible study meetings
until there's a Bible study.
Until there is a drastic decrease in the number of people being infected with COVID-19 in South Africa, said the church's co-founder, Rian Swigelaar. As Satanists, we first and foremost hold science and rational thought to be indicating factor in determining the safety of our congregation. Online platforms have been implemented and put into place. Swigelaar said the church has been streaming services and meetings and blah, 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 blah. So there you go. Satanic Church, if anything, COVID has kept the Satanists at home.
Well, at least these Satanists. I'm curious what a Bible study looks like for Satanists, and I'm assuming they're talking about the Satanic Bible, but perhaps it is the regular, the Word of God, and they're in there. Is it like they read a passage and they go, no! That's wrong.
John,
we believe the opposite.
For God so loved the world.
No, he hated the world.
Opposite. Oh, geez.
Okay. All right. So here's another one.
He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
GHgossip.com. I have sold my soul to Satan. He's my Lord and Master. It's really depressing. Nigerian lady says on social media, of course, I don't know why it's a whole story. Diane, who's a beautiful Nigerian lady, identified as Diane Emily Kazmi.
Wow, we are plummeting down the charts on Twitch, guys. They don't like us talking about the Satanists, apparently. We're down to like 10th now.
Oh, no. It's okay. Diane says she had sold her soul to the devil and called out those who insult her since she made the declaration on her Facebook page. According to the University of Cape Town graduate, she sold her soul to Satan because she does not want heaven without money. In her post, Diane expressed that her life and soul is hers to do what she wants, and she decided to trade it with a master that would provide. She wrote, quote, "Stupid, jobless, poor, hungry Nigerians. I sold my soul to Satan, so what? It's my life and soul, so I decide on which master to trade it with. I don't want heaven without money. Hail Satan, NDIS," whatever, her little website.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any money in hell either.
No, but she might get
maybe there is. It would truly be hellish if you go to hell and you still have to pay taxes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, the mark of the beast has to do with the Satan there, and that certainly has connections to money and monetary systems.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of which, back when we were doing the producer shout outs, a chatter said, give in secret and God will reward you openly, ... just saying. Totally cool. If you want to produce the show and don't want to shout out, just send us a message. We will not shout you out. I don't want the shout outs to scare anybody away.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be shouted out, you just let us know. You can still give.
Yeah. So it may be too late, but if not, pray for Diane over here, that claiming she sold her soul on social medias. All right, this is the last story we got.
Can buy it back.
He can. I'm confident, even though unless they change their DNA to Nephilim or something. Okay, last one here. I'm just going to go right into it. This is GamesRadar.com. Hellstrom returns in 2 Son of Satan collections this fall ahead of TV show.
Ooh.
Yeah, Marvel's Son of Satan has 2 more planned collections on the horizon. Marvel's comic book trader distributor Hachette has listed a pair of previously unsolicited collections featuring Damon Hellstrom, the Son of Satan, for release in October and November, possibly to coincide with the upcoming Hellstrom TV show. The listing debuted on the book industry marketplace platform Edelweiss. Created by Gary Friedrich and Herb Trimp in the 70s, Hellstrom is the son of Satan, as his epigraph denotes, or at least of the Marvel Universe's equivalent characters, and alongside his sister Satana, practices magic to hold back evil forces.
He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
So he sacrifices babies to hold back the forces of evil, fighting evil with magic. That's the end of the story.
Classic.
That's all
Classic move. I do want to say Kem Before the Storm on YouTube says, press 1 if you think Basil needs a long vacation. Thank you. I don't know if that was meant to be hurtful or nice, whatever it is. I could use a vacation.
Yeah.
And I think that just about wraps up the show, Gons.
Yeah,
did you have anything else at the end here?
I don't. I have to really get on the move here.
Yeah, we both have hard outs. We got to get out of here, folks. But thank you so much for listening to the show, watching the show live. Very important. I do want to give a couple of shout outs to an upgraded producer pledge from Jan. Jan coming in, upgrading
Jan.
Again. I know Jan is killing it. Everybody. You got to
like
thank Jan because she's keeping the show going. And then I also want to give a shout out to a new patron named Kathleen. Producer Kathleen. Thank you so much, Kathleen, and thank you, Jan. There we go. Live on the show. People supporting. Very important. Very cool. Thank you so much. And we'll be giving more shout outs next show on Monday. Remember, we do 3 shows a week, unless it's a very special week. So next week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we will be doing shows again. We'll be back. So make sure to tune in. I want to mention this because a listener made me aware of it. Make sure you hit the little bell button. Make sure you're getting the notifications. A lot of people are not getting notifications. If you want notifications, just turn on your notification settings. There should be a little bell. Of course, on YouTube, you can do this. And then on Twitch. Twitch is actually significantly better about sending notifications. So I will say to those who, even if you want to watch the show on YouTube, you should follow us on Twitch because you'll get the notification. And that's very important. Then you can tune in wherever you want. So make sure you're getting the notifications. We'll be back on Monday sometime between noon and 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So keep that in mind. Sometime between noon and 5. Yes, that'll be our start time. We often go longer than 5, but we'll start sometime in that window. So turn on notifications and get ready to rumble, people, because we'll be back on Monday. Let's see. There's a bunch of other great ways to support the show, and I really want to. I want to see some of this, folks. First of all, remember, if you missed the live show, that's totally okay. The video stays up on Twitch for a while and it'll be on YouTube. But We also put this out as a podcast, an actual real life podcast that you can get on any podcast player, on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, places like that. One really important thing we need you guys to do, and if you can't give financially, that's okay. Another great way to support the show is by leaving a rating and a review. We got to get a bunch more of those. So please, if you're just sitting there and you're wondering what you're going to do next, head to Apple Podcasts or iTunes or Stitcher, somewhere. Leave a rating and a review on the show. That helps tell the robots, the algorithms, to share the show with more people. And if we get some good ones, we'll read them on the show, because people leave some really funny, really good reviews. So it's good content.
Yeah.
So make sure to do that. Another great way to support the show, if you've already left a rating and a review, is to send the show to somebody else. Pick an episode that you enjoyed, send it to somebody in your life who is woke or needs to wake up. Either way, send them the show. Give them an opportunity to get an insight into what's really going on in the world. So please do that. The hand-to-hand, what am I saying? Mouth-to-mouth? Word of mouth. Word of mouth.
If you want to share the show mouth-to-mouth too, we recommend that it is consensual.
Yes, ask first. At least know their name. And then share an episode with them. That's a great. The podcast is free, to answer your question. Rice Dude 75. Oh, geez, the chat was so funny.
You've had a couple funny moments there.
I know.
Called Jews out. Now you're.
Oh God, no. We don't need to bring that back up. All right, everybody. So share the show with somebody. That'll be a great way to support the show as well. And don't forget us for next week. Patreon.com/CCNT, Patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio, and also CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
Canary Screamer in the chat said foot in mouth. I think that's yes, that's very accurate.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Now, here's the thing. Y'all know people who are still getting their news from their Facebook feed or the mainstream media. And here's what you got to do. You got to walk right up to them. You got to grab them by the cage, and you got to shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race has every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
Stepping on the outro? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. You've been doing the same one for months now.
I always forget. So there you go, folks. Remember, rattle some cages. Go tell some people about the show, and let us know if you get somebody on board, because we want to say hi to them. So do that. Let's see. Am I forgetting anything? Any last words, Gonzo?
You made Ultron angry.
Oh no.
He's gonna come after you tonight.
Oh no. Okay. So I think that means you have nothing left.
I got nothing left to say. Gotta get out of here.
Thank you, sir. Thanks everybody for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Remember, tune in on Monday, sometime between noon and 5 p.m. PST. But until then, think outside the cage. Stick around for some cool songs at the end of the show. Don't want to miss them. Keep you warm in my people zoo.
Illuminatus!
Rattle some cages.
Can't deal with it right now, Basil.
Shake things up. shake things up. I wanna shake things up, shake things up.
Leave the bird alone.
I wanna stir up some controversy. I wanna rattle a few cages. I wanna rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I get I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
People, I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on. You fat and sassy in my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you, yeah, you, in my people's zoo.